There's absolutely no way Nick Saban would take over Lee Corso's headgear picks on College Game Day, would he? Nah. Maybe. Stick around. This is Way Off Sides. What's going on, party people? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever the case may be. Welcome to Cotton Time at Way Off Sides, brought to you by the WOSN, the Way Offside Sports Network. I was batting around in my head. I wanted to make a video today, and I was like, what do I do? What do I do? I can't think of anything to talk about. There's a lot going on. Seems like everybody else has already talked about everything. And then I thought about it. I was like, wait, we haven't talked much about the retirement of Lee Corso. And, in my self-proclaimed creative brain, one thing led to another, and we ended up going, well, who's going to do the headgear pick? And then it got me thinking, would Nick Saban ever take over that responsibility for College Game Day? And if he did, or if he didn't, how would you feel about it? What do you think? Let's chat about it. Stick around with me for a minute, but before you do, smash that like button. It's very important that you do. Bill is out of the country right now, and he can't come home unless you subscribe. It's just the nature of the thing. Bill is stuck in a foreign country, and we know how much you guys love to have Bill on the show, on our lives. He can't be there for you to pick on unless you subscribe, like the video, leave a comment, and even hit the notification bell so you know when we post content. As most of you know, it was announced that famed coach, retired coach, and ESPN broadcaster for College Game Day, Lee Corso, will be retiring after his last show on August 30th. This is... for a lot of people, the writing was on the wall. This is a long time coming. We knew it was going to happen soon. Corso is up there in age. He's had some medical issues in the past, and it's just not conducive to his lifestyle anymore for him to be traveling around all over the place. It had gotten to where he was just doing small segments here or there on game day, coming out to do the pick, and that was it. And the game day cast has changed a lot over the years. You used to have David Pollack, a lot of other people who are now gone to the wayside, and you've got now the great Pat McAfee. How do you guys feel about Pat McAfee? You like him? Do you hate him? Is he annoying? Is he funny? I think McAfee's hilarious. I think sometimes he goes overboard. I don't know if you guys saw the footage of him getting just completely sloshed in Ireland last year on the week 0 game. So sometimes he goes overboard, but I think I think McAfee's really good for game day. Actually, I think he's hilarious. And then, Nick Saban announces his retirement last year, and it was pretty well known that he was interested in going into sports media, and it was kind of a given, like he was going to end up on College Game Day, and he did. And the 2024 season was pretty fun to watch. Not just because Nick Saban is such an intelligent mind when it comes to talking about college football. You can tell he's passionate about where college football is, where it's headed, the things he wants to change, but it's also just so much fun to hear him break down film, players, this and that. And, as an Alabama fan, he's Nick Saban. So, of course we're going to watch. We love him. But better than that, the dynamic between him and Pat McAfee is pretty interesting and funny. It makes for really, really, really good and entertaining television. And I will tune in despite any kind of political concerns about ESPN or this and that. I'll tune in just to see Pat McAfee and Nick Saban. To watch Pat McAfee force feed Nick Saban is, that is A+ television, right? A+ TV. And so, but it got me wondering, with Lee Corso, obviously his most famous bit on College Game Day is the headgear selection. He's done it for, I can't tell you how long, for a very, very long time. And it's usually the highlight of College Game Day. It happens minutes before the first game of the day kicks off. And it's just, the crowd absolutely loves it. Corso has had some iconic moments doing it. And so it's hard for me to imagine that even though he's going to retire, College Game Day is just going to get rid of that. I posed this question on Twitter, X, not long ago, and everybody pretty much was like, no, the bit dies with Lee Corso. And I understand that thought process, but really, when you sit down and watch College Game Day, what are you waiting for? What are you watching for? Obviously you're waiting for football to start, but especially if your team is in that game of the week, you're waiting to see who Corso picks. It doesn't matter who he picks. He doesn't always pick the winner. But I know for me, when the game's in Tuscaloosa or Alabama's on the line and he puts on that big owl head and that crowd goes nuts or they boo him, I absolutely adore that moment. There's no way College GameDay is going to get rid of that. And I get everybody's next, everybody's first thought is, well, Pat McAfee would do it. He's got the personality to do that. He does. I feel like it would be too forced if Pat McAfee did it. And I feel like that's too obvious. I think the only way you keep that tradition alive is if Nick Saban does it. I may be wrong. I may be way off base here. And maybe I just personally want to see Nick Saban put on a mascot head. Maybe that's all it is. And from what I know of Nick Saban, not just what the media tells you about Nick Saban, it's something that he would probably entertain. He loves this sport. I mean, it's built an empire for him. He absolutely loves this sport. And he's good at his job. Players who have played under Nick Saban often talk about how funny he is behind closed doors. And you kind of get glimpses of that on College GameDay. And so I think they just automatically disqualify the thought that Nick Saban wouldn't do that. I think in some sense that shows that you're just listening to what the media tells you about how it's no fun Nick Saban and he's so serious all the time. And he is when he's on the practice field and on the sideline, he absolutely is. But I've heard some stories about Nick Saban that it's some pretty funny stuff. And then if you don't watch College GameDay, that's okay. That's your prerogative, your choice, but you're also missing him being pretty funny sometimes. And so I think they could do it. I think they could. I think Nick Saban would at least consider it. The conversation has to be had at ESPN amongst the College GameDay crew. Are we going to do this? Who's going to continue it? Why not Nick Saban, man? Imagine this for me. Maybe not this year, maybe not Georgia because the game's in Athens, but actually, yes. Say Alabama's top 5 team, Georgia's top 5 team. Alabama's going to Athens this year to play the Bulldogs, right? Right. 2 of the best teams in the country in Athens, all set up right outside of Sanford Stadium. And Nick Saban puts on the big owl head in front of a crowd of barking, drunk students at the University of Georgia. You cannot tell me ratings would not be through the roof compared to Pat McAfee doing that. Now, I think what's more likely in saying that is they'll probably let Pat McAfee just do a pick. It may not be a headgear selection, and he can do his own thing, kind of like he did in the SEC championship game a couple of years ago where he sang the whole Georgia song and then picked Alabama, and Alabama actually won. He's got his own thing. And maybe ESPN does want to retire the headgear selection out of respect to Lee Corso. But, man, it would be a good time if they let Nick Saban do it. A really, really good time. So tell me in the comments below, what do you think? Would you watch College GameDay if Nick Saban was going to do a headgear selection? For those of you who don't typically watch College GameDay, would you watch it if Nick Saban was going to be the guy doing a headgear selection? Would that change your willingness to watch College GameDay? Would it change if it was Pat McAfee doing it? Who would it take to put on that headgear to get you to watch College GameDay, or would you just not watch? That's okay. No judgment here, man. You do what is best for you. All love, brother or sister. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, be sure to let me know. And while you're at it, do the dang thing, man. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. Be sure you hit the notification bell before you leave. That way, the next video that comes up, you'll know. And you can be the first to beat J-Bake. We do, other side, we do, let me get this right. Sorry. I've been doing this for years and I'm still not used to the camera. Best comments are featured live on the show this Thursday night. We'll have a live show at 8 p.m. Central Time. It's live on X and YouTube. So be sure, if you're not following us over on X, you do that. You can see my handle there, and then you can follow the whole Way Offsides gang. It's at Way Offsides Chris, at Way Offsides Jeff, and at Way Offsides Bill. Make sure you follow some of our partner networks in the WSN, Herb and Raj, guys like that. Just fantastic people. Big shout out to Bama Standard. We kind of have this group of people on social media that we're all, I don't want to say connected with. We don't necessarily work with them exclusively, but JT and guys like that they're really fantastic in helping and just open communication. And so it's really great to be a part of that Bama Family Creative Network. And if you want to be a part of that, you can do that by reaching out to us on social media about joining the WSN. We're looking for blog writers currently. We're also looking for people who can help behind the scenes on the podcast and production. And we're looking for a couple of people who can pop in and do segments every now and again. If you're a player, somebody close to one of these programs, a recruit specifically, you can reach out to us too. We'd love to have you on. Make sure if you're a player, especially D1, you get clearance through your university first. We don't want any muddy waters for you there. But yeah, so that's all I got for you today. As always, you know the drill. Say your prayers, read your Bibles, wash your hands, horns down, beat Auburn and LSU and Tennessee too. Roll damn Tide, Paul.